Yo, yo, Silva Wagwan, boss.
What's up, brother? Happy Sunday, everybody.
Yeah, man, how you doing today?
Man, another day on planet Earth. Can't complain, man. Just
Yes,
uh
sir.
just having a
How,
having a quiet one, man. I don't know, man, just reflecting really. The time's flying, man. Um I don't know. We're in November already. It feels like yesterday was New Year's. Now we're about to kind of meet another New Year's. So I don't know how you guys feel about it. I just feel like time's flying really, really fast for me. I don't know whether I'm happy
it's
about it or
it's
disappointed.
interesting. I think we talked about that, right? Like
We did.
this year, this year, in my opinion, I don't know, time itself. I don't know why, but time itself literally feels like it has sped up. Like literally a minute feels like maybe 30 seconds to me. Like even down to the minute. When I tell you it feels like I just invested into certain projects like just the other day. It felt like I met you just the other day too. But it's been a few months now that we've been clicking, and it's weird, man. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me getting older. That time it just feels different, but I don't know. This year specifically, time has felt like it has no bearings on us. It doesn't care about us at all.
Absolutely. But then again, we get so caught up. I think this world allows us to feel like it's all about us. Like the human beings. It's us. But we gotta remember something. Maybe these entities have their own thing going on. Like maybe time has its own thing going on. Nature has its own thing going on. Obviously, we can't. We don't have the access to indulge in that. Platform, their world. They probably got their own shit going on. Who knows? Maybe they're trying to get something done as well. And
The timekeepers.
yeah, you never know because you know um I've got my own theory about these things, and I don't want to get too crazy about it, but I feel like it's a work of a grand architect. Everything is in place accordingly. It has been set perfectly. So who knows? Time's got its own shit going on, and it's scary though. Because it kind of lets you know we have to try and achieve the things we want, man, or
While we're here.
why we here or wherever it is, because before you know it, you're 40, man. You might not be able to like move like you was in your 30s, and next thing you know you're 70, and it's really game over.
Shit, I'm
So
I'm 36 and I feel like I can't even move like I can at 34. So I don't know, man. The way my knees feel when I bend down to pick something up, I used to laugh at I used to like sneakily laugh at my mom and my dad when they bend down to pick certain things up. But now it's like,
yeah,
damn, like look at that. Karma's laughing at me now because I
for
definitely
sure.
feel it.
For sure, man. And listen, and I think one of the things, I don't know if I regret this, or it's helping me, but it's got me more paranoid. It's working in a hospital. I don't know. I mean, you used to
Mm,
work in a hospital, but it's helped me to navigate better, but it's also got me paranoid. And I wish I never kind of make that leap of working there, because it kind of opens your mind into so many things, man. In terms of how most of us really do self-destruct, not intentionally.
mm.
Obviously, no one goes out to kill themselves. I mean, people do. Don't get me wrong. But in terms of like smoking, I mean, I'm in the neurosurgery department now, and I'm telling you the amount of people suffering from spinal dysfunction due to weightlifting. You
Mm.
know, and you kind of, we gotta be careful out here, man. How the kind of things we do, and if we're gonna do, we gotta do really carefully and safely, because we somehow end up finding a way to destroy ourselves. Through the things we enjoy doing. And it's scary, man. It's really
That
scary,
part.
but
I
very
think I
scary.
think that's the scary part is that a lot of us do destroy ourselves through what we just enjoy doing. It's small example. When I was a kid, man, I used to stay up until literally like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I'll even see the sunrise just playing video games. But the lack of knowledge of the importance of sleep while enjoying something that I thoroughly loved, right? Created like this, how do I say? it created this pocket of stress that translated into my body. Once I realized what I was doing to myself, then I took a huge step back. I was like, oh shit. But nobody told me how important sleep was, even as a youngin'. Like my parents necessarily didn't discipline me as much as they should have. Or let me say my dad let me rock because he had an understanding of that was like my stress reliever. I love playing video games, but I should have been more disciplined. I should have absolutely, yo, it's 10 o'clock at night, you should be turning that off. That's how I'm with my kids now. At a certain time they are not allowed to play games. They only play games on the weekends. I was given the freedom, but I guess in a good way. I was given so much freedom that I know better with my kids. So I talk to my kids about overly doing anything. Too much snacks, too much exercise, too much game time, too much whatever is never a good thing for you. So you bring up a good point. It's crazy how we destroy ourselves through things that we just love doing. Even in relationships. Like you sometimes you fall into a relationship that you think is great and it's actually something toxic, but you love the relationship so much that you don't know how to step away from it. So you bring up a really good point right there.
I mean, it's the reality of it, man. You know, we don't we don't see it because it's us. We're in the process of it. You know, like it's, you know, you're there doing it, so you don't really get to you don't get to see it for yourself. You know, if you're from the outside, then you can actually see that, oh, this is what people are doing. You know, they're not really living right. But you know, I mean, it's not, sometimes parents as well, they want a peace of mind by allowing their children to do whatever because they get to have that little pocket of space for themselves.
Mm, right,
I've seen it on public transport all the time. You know, you can have a child just screaming down the whole place. Guess what the mother or the father will do? They'll take out their phones and they'll give it to the children and go, okay, here you go, play with the phone. You know, so
right.
they can have that little, you know, that little few minutes or few hours to themselves. So and that's the thing, is those are the few hours that are important to teaching certain things, so the kids can have that understanding of, look, this is how you're supposed to kind of navigate your life. You know, but we tend to focus on the marriage, education. That's the two really things, you know, focus on marriage, education, finance, and we forget the other things that can really change the game for the children. And it's sad, man, because at the end of the day, the parents are the manual. You know,
Right.
they're the manual to the children's life on how to live, because you know, I'm not a parent yet, but we were before them, right? So we've kind of lived through what they would see. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? We've lived
Yeah.
through. I mean, you know, I'm not a parent yet, but I'm speaking as, you know, if when I have children, I've lived through what they would
What they're
encounter.
gonna experience
So you
exactly.
know, and this is the sad thing. This is the painful thing about it, because most most of us only know how, okay, let's make sure we get education, let's make sure, you know, we get a good job or a good business that would put money in the pocket. Okay, let's make sure we do this, but there's certain other things that we don't have a clue about, that we had to kind of learn that ourselves through experience, through making mistakes and stuff. But the thing is, most of our parents already know that, but they just they forgot that part of teaching us and showing us that, look, here, don't do this too much. This is what you need to do. Get some sleep, get some rest, eat healthy, don't smoke, don't, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's just, it's crazy, but it's not their fault as well, because at the end of the day, they got a life to live too, man.
Yeah, they're
You
dealing
know,
with the
and they need,
stresses of life the best way they can,
for
basically.
real, you know, and they need some peace of mind as well, you know. And I think that's one thing I've learned this year. It's priceless, man. Peace of mind is priceless. Like, health is wealth. Look, man, feeling good, literally waking up and feeling good, like your body's in a good space, is so priceless. I'm telling you, man. Like, it's I enjoy feeling good. Do
Right.
you know what I mean? I enjoy feeling healthy. You know, nothing beats it. You know, when you wake up in the morning, your body's right. You know, you're not tired. You know, you don't feel like you got some sort of illness or, yeah, anything. It's a beautiful feeling, you know, and uh, that's something I'm trying to maintain forever, man.
You
You know,
know what?
like,
That is something that's taken for granted. When you something as simple as waking up in the morning and not feeling tired. You're not supposed to feel tired after you got, at the very least, if you got 6, 7 hours of sleep and you wake up, you're really not supposed to feel tired. And if you do, there's something. Your body is telling you that there's something wrong and you need to address it. That's an art that is lost, that we don't listen to ourselves anymore. We don't listen to our bodies. We don't listen to, like me when I say, I feel my knees like my parents used to feel theirs. I'm 36 years old. Actually, that's not supposed to be a thing yet. I'm not supposed to feel the pain that I've been feeling in my knees. So what I've been doing, I've been exercising more. I've been working out the muscles around my knees to strengthen my legs so that when I do bend down to pick something up or squat or whatever the case is, it doesn't feel like it does now. So listening to your body is something imperative that I think is it's like a lost art. And even deeper than that, listening to your mind. When y- your thoughts tell you things that your soul has yet to really compartmentalize. Let me give you an example. I was dealing with somebody recently, right? I told you about that situation like in a space a while ago. And
Yeah.
although I knew this person wasn't the best for me, I continued to be with her until she did something that was like damn near unforgivable. Although I knew the whole time that she probably wasn't the right person for me, I still continued to be with her. And one day, like when I say my spirit spoke to me, like I asked myself, am I doing the right thing? And then I started seeing the signs in as plain as I'm looking at this bus stop in front of me right now. Like I'm sitting in my car, I'm looking at a bus stop. When I say I started seeing signs like everywhere, all because I asked myself a question. I asked myself a simple question, and it was as if my soul started speaking to me. That's a lost art. Like we don't know how to listen to ourselves anymore. We don't even know how to communicate with ourselves, let alone listen to the responses that it gives us. So it's imperative that when you do have children, Fadaka, teach them that. Like teach them what you're doing. And I know you are, right? But I'm just kind of just saying it out loud again. It's important for me to teach my kids the same thing. Like it's okay to listen to yourself. Your instincts is actually something that's animalistic that keeps people alive. It keeps animals alive. You are born with a certain sort of instinct that it gets dull over time because society says something else.
And
So
in
yeah.
fact, I was gonna say something quickly. When it comes to listening to the voice, right? Um, I don't know whether I'm sure you guys have, but I've realized that there are multiple voices, and you gotta be careful the ones you listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
No, that's a fact. That's a
bro,
fact. But go ahead, rock out, because I know
listen,
exactly what you mean.
brother. Yeah, because the thing is, I know but sometimes I tend to go with the feeling than the voice. Because I've been in, like everyone's been in a certain situation where like your body wouldn't just allow you to make certain decisions. It's not like it's holding you like, hostage, but it's, your body's feeling like, look, this is not the way to do it. Or this is how you're supposed to do it. So I tend to kind of go with the feeling because I realize with the voice sometimes there are multiple voices. And if we, and I think it's just how it's the yin and yang, what do you call it? Everyone has a wolf in them, and everyone has some sort of a peaceful animal. So if you listen to the wolf, sometimes it can cloud your judgment. You end up doing the wrong things. So I've experienced that there's multiple voices, man, and it's not as easy to kind of navigate what one, And I try to kind of follow the one that would have a positive outcome. What step would I do, or what voice would I listen that would lead to a positive outcome? Because
Mm,
when it's positive, if you can see a positive outcome from following that decision or that instinct, then you can at least feel some sort of content that yes, you made the right choice. So I think that's a skill, man. That's It's difficult for anyone because sometimes you hear some instincts and you make that choice and you realize it was disastrous.
yeah.
I'm speaking from experience here. Like,
No, real
I'm
shit,
like,
real
what the
shit.
fuck? Like, why would And I'll speak to myself like, why would you put me in a position to make the wrong choice?
Right. You know what
You
it
know,
is?
you
Trauma.
know, it could
So
be.
so so some of those voices are trauma based. And if you don't, what's the term that a lot of people like to use right now is healing. If you don't heal from certain traumas, that voice that you could possibly be listened to could be trauma based. So let's say for example, you might tell yourself that the person in front of you just because they look like somebody else isn't the one for you, right? But that's a trauma response. That could be a trauma response because maybe this person looks like somebody that hurt you in the past, or maybe something they said just reminds you of something that happened in your past, and it's a trauma response. Your body is like you're responding to the to the negative too much. So yeah, there's a balance there. So like you said, it's like sometimes you have to listen to your body instead of your thoughts, and sometimes you have to listen to your thoughts instead of your body. Like there is a balance there. How do you know what's the right one? You really don't until the decision is made.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like the thing is, me, I've always been the type of person I like to forecast. So if I'm gonna make a step right now, if I'm gonna make a decision right now, I'm already thinking of how this decision will affect me 5 steps ahead. I've always done this as a kid. So anything I'll do right now, how would this, link to that, link to this, and in the next 5 years or 10 years or 2 days or 3 days or 5 days or the next week, how would this point here change there? So like that's always been my thing. So if every time I try to make a decision, like I always how would it change me in the next 5 days? Would I be happy
Mm,
about it? Would he affect somebody else and stuff like that? So in a way, it kind of helps, but it takes me longer to execute certain things. Because then when you think like that, you tend to be more thorough. But then, so being more thorough sometimes it's not really it's not really something you want to do all the time because life sometimes you just got to make a decision and move on from it. So it has its positive and its cons. So it is, but this topic right here, you know, sexless, lack of there of marriage, grounds for divorce. I
right.
don't know, man. Let's get to it, bro.
So,
Like
so
because
so how do
let
you feel? Because I asked you. You know what? Let me tell you how I feel. Right.
all right, go on, yeah.
So because I saw you answer me, but I didn't even read it. Like I just parked up and I looked at my phone. But how I feel, right? For me personally, if hmm, okay, I am a person that needs to have sex, right? It feels good. It's like between physically and spiritually, like it's fulfilling to me, right? Sex is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful dance. The shit, it's fulfilling. It's releasing. It's stress relieving. It's bonding, right? It's not just
The
sex for me,
dance with
right?
no pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dance with no pass, he says. But it's fulfilling to me, right? It feels good other than just the physical act. It feels fulfilling to me, right? So it's something that's a part of me, that's a part of my love language, which is physical touch. I need that. It's something that allows me to feel as though I'm more connected to my partner, right? So if I'm having sex with my partner often, I feel more connected to them more often, if that makes any sense. Now, if I'm in a relationship with and my partner isn't as because there's women with low sex drives, right? If I know that and my partner I know that my partner has a low sex drive and I'm okay, I just I fall in love with all their other qualities. I'm okay with it. The situation is cool. I can't have no sex at all. That can't be a thing because I still need to feel connected, right? I just wouldn't get into a relationship knowing that somebody's not gonna have sex as often as I need it, like just as a baseline. Maybe like at the very minimum, give me like 3 times a week at least. 2, 3 times I can be okay with. But if we're going like I don't know if you watched the video. Like the guy said like a month. I'm not waiting a month to have sex if I'm in a relationship with someone. I can't do that personally, right? And I say that from experience, right? When I was with my kid's mom, right? She used to use sex as a weapon. And because she was going through her own shit, she felt as though sex was either like a reward or like a way to kind of discipline me in a sense. If she was upset with something, she would stay away from me for some time, right? She didn't realize what she was doing. Like as we got older, we had like more talks, and she understood. I think she understands what happened in the relationship and what happened in her personal life that led her to feel like that's a thing. But eventually, eventually that shit bothered me so much that, amongst other things, that was one of the reasons why that relationship ended. Right. So I can't go through that again knowing that that's not for me. Right. You understand? Like, I went through it and I know that it doesn't work for me if I don't have sex as often as I feel like I should. It just doesn't work for me. But I also understand how somebody else can be okay with it. Some people some people don't care for physical touch like I do, and that's okay. Like, it's if you look through the comments in that video, there's people like blasting the young dudes talking about, like, see, like, men can't even go X amount of time without having sex. Yeah, what's wrong with that? That's that person's personal um feelings toward the situation. Some people want it, some people don't. Some people want it a lot, some people want it a little bit. So that's kind of my take on it. Like, it just depends on the person. Not everybody's the same thing. But what's your take on it?
You know what? Initially, listening to him have a chat, I thought maybe he was saying people shouldn't get married just for the purpose of having sex. That's the you know that's what I thought. Because listen, I'm thinking, okay, cool, but okay, that's your idea though. That's got nothing to do with us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, because the way he was kind of expressing that view is like, oh, he feels like people, people shouldn't get married just for sex. But I'll keep it. But one thing he doesn't understand is in this world, especially in the West. I'm in the UK. You're in America, right? Sex is not something we need to do. We need to get married for. Sex is everywhere. He knows
Mm,
this. So
right.
like, so when he's making that statement, like, "Oh, people shouldn't get married," I doubt anyone in my city or your city is really getting married just to have sex. Because, bro, there's sex everywhere, bro. I mean, like, it's everywhere if you really want it. If he's talking about certain demographics, maybe a certain community, maybe we're like maybe like so maybe I don't know how the Jewish community or the Islamic communities, or maybe a certain type of religious community where like they tend to kind of keep their children locked away. you know Maybe they get married just to kind of experience that life of sex. You see what I'm trying to say? So that his idea doesn't apply to us. I doubt any brother or any sister is going out to get married just for sex on its own, because it's everywhere. Okay, so that's one thing. But in terms of like, can I cope in a marriage or in a relationship without sex? Well, if she's not smashing me, she's smashing someone else. Let's
but,
just let's clarify that, because that. But one thing I realized, when listen, bro, yeah, if you enjoy something, you would indulge in it.
hmm
So apart from the fact that it's some sort of a moral compass, like, oh, I just don't want to, I don't want to have sex. She's probably not enjoying it. Like, it's got to a point where she's not enjoying it anymore with that person,
hmm
right? And that's why there's some sort of a disconnection in terms of having sex with your partner or something, or maybe he's not enjoying it with her anymore or something, or he can't function the way he used to function or something like that. Because who would want to be in a relationship and not want to at least have some sort of a sexual connection of some sort.
So the only caveat there is that there are people that walk this planet that have low sex drives because of, like, something physiological, like there's something in their body that won't allow them to have sex as often because they don't desire it as often.
They haven't been
Like, they
smashed
have
properly, bro.
no. Nah, look,
You know
no,
what?
no,
I
real
get
shit.
no,
Look,
I get what
look.
you're saying. I was just messing around. I'm
Okay,
messing
okay,
around.
okay, all right. Because trust me, I know some dudes out there that they have low testosterone is a thing, right? Low testosterone equals low sex drive. It's something that maybe they're not exercising enough, maybe they're not eating the right things, maybe they're drinking too much alcohol. There's some dudes walking this planet that don't desire sex because they don't take care of their bodies. There's some women with the same issue. They don't take care of their bodies well enough, and eventually their sex drive gets low. Or it could be something physical. Like, I don't know if you ever dealt with this, but there's some women with a lot of extra skin. They have a big labia, and it hurts them because their lips are so big that when you I don't mean to be vocal. Yeah, fuck that. Like, when you going in
Whoa,
and out, right?
whoa, whoa, whoa,
No, no, look. When you going in and out, sometimes their lips get caught as you going in and out and in the motion, and it's painful for them. It's a painful experience. Some women have a low cervix where you're hitting their cervix so often that it's uncomfortable for them. So it's hard for them to have sex. Like unless you understand her body, sometimes you can't have sex with her as often. So there's a lot of different reasons why some people have low sex drives or just don't desire it that much because it just could be uncomfortable for them. So,
even
but
even e- one more, sorry, bro. I was
mm,
gonna say even porn addiction. Porn
yeah,
addiction can take our physical attraction. Like I read stories about this, about how, like, when you watch too much porn and that, like, you tend to kind of lose that sex drive physically when you have a lady or a man in front of you. Like the porn becomes the ideal, you know um attraction for you in terms of sex. But you know what? Looking back to the video just now, this is the question. I could just see it. I'm sure everyone else can see it. Should sex be an expectation in marriage? Interesting.
oh,
Yes,
that was
let's
the
let's.
oh,
Hey,
I didn't even see that part
I
of the
just saw
question.
it now.
Okay,
I'm just saying it now. For wow, that's an interesting question. Okay, maybe, yeah. Let's get into that. Should
okay.
sex? Should we start with marriage or just relationship in general,
I mean,
or just,
it's both
yeah, both?
at
Yeah.
the end of the day, right? But I guess marriage would be like more of a that's like a legal bond. That's like a forever thing. So I guess it's like different there. But in general, like let audience, Kino, Andre, Ashley, the show took interesting. I haven't seen this. Okay, interesting. But yeah, everybody in the audience, you drop a comment. Is sex a what's the question again for Daka? How was it asked? Should sex be an
Should sex
expectation?
be an expectation in marriage?
Right.
Hmm.
So
That's
everybody in the audience, drop a comment. See, I'm curious to see how you guys feel about the question about that particular question. But what's your take on it? Should it be an actual expectation?
Um, okay, I wouldn't say it should be an expectation on a paper, for example, let's just say on paper, right?
Mm,
I don't think sex should be some sort of an expectation, like, oh yeah, we have to have sex kind of thing. I don't personally don't think so, because it's not, and I don't think it's some sort of a agreement that you both have to sign up for, right? I think there's other things that should be on paper in terms of, what should be an expectation in marriage, you know. But I'm not going in to marry someone and not thinking I'm not going to have sex with her. Like we're not going to indulge in some sort of a sexual relationship. But I'm definitely not thinking, yeah, it's all going to be about sex with her. If you guys get what get my drift on that.
gotcha.
So, like, should sex be an expectation in marriage? To be fair, I'm not even thinking that. My mind is not even lingering to that point. I don't even feel it's a valid question like that. Because I feel like naturally, people don't think, oh yeah, I'm gonna get married just, just to smash and stuff like that. I don't think naturally that's what people really get married for. I think it's just for the other side of, like, I found someone that I love, someone I can build a life with, someone I can, have children with, and it's vice versa. So where he brought this question from, I don't understand it, because I feel like it doesn't kind of relate to our situation in this platform of where we are, where our lives are, the country we are in. I don't think that question is valid in this country, in the countries we both live in. You know,
Mm.
like, maybe if it's in the Middle East or in some sort of country that's out there where they're very strict and stuff like that. Yes, it might be valid to them, but I don't think this really applies to us like that. I don't think most people even think, of even allow their thought process to ask such questions. Because I feel like our lives right now is totally different. But what's your take on it?
My take, let me tell you something. If for me, if I'm getting married, sex is absolutely an expectation. Now, whether my wife wants to fulfill that need or not, then that's on her. You understand? So if the agreement is, you know what, I'm not that sexually active, or sex makes me uncomfortable, or I think it lowers my value. Whatever her viewpoint is, maybe it's religious, maybe she just only wants to have sex to procreate. Okay, then the agreement is then I'm gonna have sex. You find me somebody to have sex with, or I'm gonna find me that I'm gonna find me a person to have sex with. That's my take on it. So, but it's I feel like it's insensitive for me to talk like that. But at the end of the day, we all have our own needs, and if I even have to have, like you said, I'm not even thinking about it. So even if I have to have that conversation with somebody, that means there's a problem there that needs to be fixed before I even drop 20 to propose to
I,
anybody.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Cause,
Like
cause I'm not about to have that conversation. Like I said, I'm not gonna go through a sex as a weapon situation ever again. I'm cool with that. I know what I want as a man, and I know what I need as a man. And this is one of those things. So if even we have to sit down and address the situation, then there's something wrong. And if we don't fix it, then the relationship can no longer be valid, in my opinion. I know it sounds harsh, but we all have boundaries. That's a boundary for me, right? It's a sex is one of those boundaries. If you are not gonna have sex with me because of whatever reason, I'm not about to feel insecure about myself or the relationship because your values are different than mine. And if your values are different than mine, and that's a strong value for me, then we just won't work out. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that either. It's to each their own. I shouldn't feel condemned by society for thinking to myself like I need to have sex. It's I'm a man at the end of the day, and I am a man with high testosterone, and that's how I move. You understand me? For me to look for sex from someone else is a deal breaker. Cause I'm not that type of guy, by the way. Like I'd rather not cheat. I don't want to have to cheat to have my needs fulfilled at all. If I'm pushed that way, I might just have to step outside the house, but I don't want to. So I'd rather look for that from my partner. That's my view on it.
I mean, yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's and I think what you mentioned about how something like this you already been kind of like dealt with before even thinking of marrying somebody anyway. And that's why I kind of I'm going to go back to the point about I don't think that question itself it's even real for us. Because look, if you meet a girl, before you even think about marriage, there's certain things you're already doing anyway. You already, you two already sleeping together, having sex anyway. So she's not just gonna wake up one morning and be like, "Oh, look, we're gonna get married, and please don't expect sex." No, hell no. She gotta go. You know what I mean? So, no, because I feel like when a question like this comes up, there's an ulterior motive to it. There's some sort of a game that's about to commence. You know, because like if your partner's already putting that to the table saying to you, "Oh, please don't expect sex in the marriage," and I've got to say to her, "Look, what's this game here you're playing? Because I'm not interested in it." Do you know what I mean? Unless there's some
Right.
sort of a medical, maybe something happened medically, and yeah, okay, cool, that's a different thing. It's my choice to stay with my partner and see where it goes after that. But I don't think it's something most people think about because this is something you're already doing in your relationship prior to you getting married anyway. So I think listening to him, he's just trying to put that point out there, but I don't think that's real for us, And like I said, it is what it is. If you want to get married and not have sex and not have children, that's their problem. But for most of us, we're not going to tolerate that.
No.
It's not acceptable.
You know what? So okay, based on how this conversation is going, because I just had a thought. Let's say if you meet a woman and she's everything you want, all right? Literally checks all the boxes that you want. Of course, nobody's perfect, right? But she checks the majority of the boxes that would require you to be in love to commit to somebody for the rest of your life. She checks everything, except for that, except for the frequency of sex. But the compromise that she loves you so much that her compromise is, you know what? You get free reign. It's an open marriage. You can go out and have sex with who you choose to, or maybe she even chooses somebody. Would you be okay with that type of arrangement?
Absolutely not.
Why? So tell me why, because I have a different take on that. But you tell me why.
Because one thing I'm going to be 34 this year, right? And one thing I've realized about life is that, yeah, especially when it comes to dating, there is always another one, always. And this is my experience. So even if I meet a girl that's ticked every box, and except for one that I'm not really comfortable, there's another girl that just ticks, that would tick the box as well. So I don't feel like there's always that one person that you gotta compromise with, in terms of, I meet a girl, she's tick every, it's a lie. I've met, so listen, there's always a beautiful girl, bro. There's always a kind woman.
Hmm.
There's always a generous and cool girl, so I don't think we need to, especially in the life that we live right now, time is flying past. Like, I don't even want to put myself in a situation like that of, if it's, let's say for example, we're already married, right, and something medically happens to her. Okay, then, and I don't want to leave her because, like, I don't want to feel like I'm leaving her behind because she's had an accident or something's changed in her life. Okay, yes, I could compromise based on that, right? But if it's some sort of a beginning process and she's putting the situation on the table, saying this is, this is this, I'm just gonna bid her farewell because I don't want to leave. That's not the kind of life I want to live. So, yeah, for me, it's a no because there's
Got
always
you.
another person, always.
Okay. But the arrangement is perfect, right? So is just sex that she doesn't desire, or maybe something medical, maybe she has that low of a sex drive, or maybe she has something traumatic happen in her life where she just doesn't desire sex, right? Maybe she was taken advantage of at some point. You still wouldn't be okay with having like just a side, like she says yes to the side chick because she just understands you that much, but she loves you that much. You still wouldn't. You
The thing, bro. People change. I can change. She can change. Right. So, okay, for example, let's say the scenario does exist. There's a side chick. What if you fall in love with a side chick? That can happen. Because one thing I've realized,
that's
like,
valid.
is, like, we say these things, right? And but things tomorrow is a different day. Like, our feelings are not uniform. They could
Mm.
change. They adapt, right? So, like, for, yeah, it's fine and everything. She doesn't want to have sex. It's all gravy or whatever it is. You meet a side chick. You get a side chick pregnant. But you didn't agree with that with your wife though.
Mm.
Now she's feeling some kind of a way. Even if you do agree that you can have kids outside of marriage, eventually she's gonna see the bond you're creating with somebody else. She's gonna be affected by that.
I got you. So your perception is you don't want to, you rather not take the risk of destroying the relationship to begin with. So why
Abs-
bother, right? I
Absolutely,
got
because
you.
one thing I've clocked is that, yeah, people say things, but it's not gonna be the same the next day. Things change, bro. I mean, I'll give an example, right? Check this out. I met a lady friend about 3 weeks ago. So we go to some sort of an ice cream parlor just around my neighborhood. Okay. So, we have an ice cream, we're having a conversation, right? So she goes to me, "Oh, I was yeah, do you have a girlfriend? Because, I know guys like you from your country, you like love women too much." So I just I kept it nice and real with her. I said, "Yes, I was seeing a girl, but we broke up, about what, 3 or 6 months ago, blah 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 blah. I'm not ready to get into a relationship, right?"
Hmm.
And she goes, "Oh, perfect." She goes, "Perfect." This time around, I'm excited in my mind. I'm thinking, "Oh, fantastic." She's
Right.
not interested. She's not interested in nothing. She don't want to have a relationship. She's telling me that she's tired of men. She doesn't want to have a relationship. She just wants to build friendship. That's what I want as well. It couldn't have been more perfect, right? No problem. About 2 weeks later, she's sending me texts, bro. Half a page fucking sentences talking about how, I'm like, what?
She
She's
sent you an
telling me
essay.
she's sending me essays, bro. Telling me stories and shit. And I'm telling you, bro, I don't take people's words for stuff, man, because they change. Even they don't know it themselves. Don't get me wrong, it's not even our fault. We might mean it at that present time. We might actually mean what we're saying at that present time, but tomorrow's a different day.
Mm.
And that's how we get ourselves caught up in a storm. I don't want to get caught up in a hurricane, bro. You know, so
I see what you
like
mean.
I like to keep things like make sure they're solid, man. Words don't mean nothing, bro. Actions are the most. Is that's the apex of life. The actions determine how things are gonna flow, man. So you can have all this agreement, all this stuff, and that. Yeah, you get your side chick pregnant, you end up marrying your side chick, bro. I'm telling you, that's what's gonna happen.
All right, so let me. All right, so my take on that, right? If 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 I meet a woman, right, and she just doesn't desire sex that much because of whatever reason, whether it's medical, a straight up physical issue, it could be a hormonal imbalance, whatever the case is, she just doesn't desire sex that much. And she says to me, I'm okay with an open marriage. These are the rules set forth. You can do this, you can do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you have to let me know, etc. So whatever the agreement is, right? If she offers that to me and she checks off every single box in terms of what my needs are and what my wants and desires are in a woman when it comes to marriage and or raising a family, I gotta say I would accept that. Here's my reasoning behind it. And I see an angle, right? It could get messy. I don't want messy relationships either. But there are plenty of women that walk this earth that are open to open marriages because at the end of the day, a lot of women do realize that there is a real shortage of good men, and they really truly desire a companionship, and they really truly desire a good man to help raise their kids, to help build a home, to help build a foundation for their future. So there are some women out there that's open to it because they understand that at the end of the day, I'm gonna talk my shit a little bit. At the end of the day, men are the prize because there's so little of us and there's so much more of women. There are not enough men on this planet. If everyone got married today on the planet, there's gonna be a lot of women that are single because there's just not enough of us, right? That's a fact. And even more so, there's a lot less good men. So if this particular woman that I'm dealing with really and truly, in my opinion, understands the value that I bring to the table, and she allows me to get my rocks off somewhere else because she's not into the physical act of sex as much as I am, I would be okay with that arrangement based on that alone. If I really truly believe that she understands my value and won't create a messy, unnecessary um situation based on just her feelings about it, then I would be okay with it. Now, I'm gonna hold her accountable though, right? This is what you agreed to. You brought this up to me. You know how I was as a man because this can happen in any relationship, right? You set boundaries, you set expectations, and somewhere down the line, it gets flipped because of emotions. It happens in every relationship, and this particular one, it might be a little bit more messy, but it doesn't change the fact that every relationship has a breaking point, or at least a point where it's tested based on the foundations that you set forth in times of communication. So if my woman is allowing me to step outside, and not even step outside because technically it's not, if we have an agreement. If my woman is allowing me, or we have an agreement, let me say, not allow me. If we have an agreement that I'm gonna have sex with somebody else because she knows that I need these needs met, then I'm okay with that situation. If it gets messy, I'm just gonna hold her accountable. That's kind of my take on it. I would do it because at the end of the day, I'm a bit of a risk taker too. I'll risk the messy situation based on this woman checks every single box because that's important to me. If sex is the only box that she doesn't check, but she says, no pun intended, if she says, hey, you can go get that box from somewhere else, then I'm okay with the situation. That's my take on it. Now, how
Yeah.
that will play out, will play out will basically test her strength and how much she really and truly loves me and honors me and feels, maybe if she feels like I'm just that nigga, right? If she feels like I'm that king, then cool. But if somewhere down the line where she
I mean, not for real. It's I'd rather she allows me to marry more wives though. You know.
Yeah, because that would be more solid.
You know what I mean? Because then like, because I mean, I think what you're saying here, it's valid in a lot of countries, man. In the where like like I think a lot of Islamic countries where men marry more than one wives and stuff. Where like sometimes the men will consult the first wife and be like, look, can I can I get your blessing? Even prior to them getting married, he's probably saying to her, look, at some point I might want to take on another wife or three more extra wives. Is this something you're okay with as of now before we get married, just in case? Some women agree to that, So I think I'd rather be able to marry more wives than have a standing wife that allows me to have side chicks. That's just my because I feel like prevention is better than cure. So I would definitely prefer. Look, yes, I know we love each other to a degree, and there's some things we know we can't really indulge in because of whatever reasons. But I would like to take on another wife at some point. If she agrees to that, no problem, no problemo. We can get it going on. So, but you hear stories of men, older men, that pick up young wives and allow the young wives to do whatever they want to do. I'm sure you guys know. I think it's common with a lot of these rich men where like they can't really function like that in bed, and they kind of give the blessing to their young wives to have boyfriends and stuff like that. So this is real. It does happen. It's real for a lot of people. It's definitely not going to be real for me though. So
Yeah, I was about to say I'm not about to be no punk to
but
nobody.
it
Fuck,
happens.
fuck all of that
But
shit.
it happens. It happens in real
Yeah,
life, and and you know what, man? Like I said, a pure nice marriage wouldn't even question these kind of scenarios anyway. Um, take away the medical situation of it. Like you meet a girl nowadays, or a girl meets a man nowadays. Question about should sex be an expectation in marriage is not even something you go through. However, you could get into a relationship where the dysfunction has got to the point where like sex has become some sort of a weapon. That happened. I've experienced it as well. Cool. You just mentioned it earlier.
right.
Mine was different. She just didn't want to get pregnant. I said to her, I'm not ready to be a father as well, But it's like she was so afraid of getting pregnant, and she starts to kind of withhold sex from me and stuff like that, and it kind of end up being the reason why we kind of fell apart, But so it does happen once you get involved in a relationship and things are not on the same page with you and your partner. So I do get it, but it's that's why there's another woman out there and there's another man out there. So that's the beauty of the world, man. There's always an exit
I was
door.
just about to say that. Right. At the end of the day, we can always agree to disagree and move on for the relationship. It's hard for a lot of people because some people have a real bad attachment issue. But at the end of the day, you can always just say, you know what, this isn't working for the both of us, and you could just move on amicably. No hard feelings. You could still be friends if they, if it's okay for them to be friends. But at the end of the day, there's always another woman out there that can fulfill your needs, and it's okay. If even if you love that person, and you know what, you're not happy here, it's okay for you to go be with somebody else. Or I'm not happy here, I need to go explore other options because this isn't serving me anymore. I think it's rough. I think it's hard for people to actually do that though, because you fall in love with somebody and it's automatically it's like that's mine. It doesn't work like that. Like the world doesn't necessarily operate that way. Um, maybe in a marriage, like I don't know, I don't want to say it's like another person's your property because you can never own somebody, but it's more heavy when it's in a marriage. But just in a regular relationship, you don't own anybody. So at the end of the day, if there's a real issue that's a breaking point for everybody, for both parties, it's okay to just walk away from it. Instead of making it a big deal, instead of turning it into something abusive and something possessive and something manipulative, like it's okay to just walk away from the situation. More people need to practice that more often, but it's not really practiced enough, and that's why we have a lot of bullshit in this world when it comes to domestic violence and all of that shit. Speaking of, right, real abrupt change, but I saw a post the other day, right, where Elon Musk taking over Twitter. It's very interesting. But I saw a post last night. Let me not say the other day. Last night, and I'm gonna see if I can find it in my tweets. But there was some there was a post that um an Asian person made, and they worded it to the effect that there were black people robbing and killing Asians in California. In this particular post, though, there was a fact check under it, and the fact check under it says this tweet suggests that it was an anti-Asian hate crime when in actuality it was an act of domestic violence, right? So this husband had his wife killed, right? I just posted it to the top. Everybody could see it. This husband had his wife killed while he was basically there. For whatever reason, maybe he felt like that was the only way out of the marriage. Maybe she wanted money, maybe she was abusive. I don't know the story. I don't really care. But the narrative behind it is why social media can be such a dangerous thing if you don't fact check everything that you see on this app. It says on August 21st, a 56-year-old Asian American dentist was robbed at gunpoint in Oakland's Little Saigon and then shot multiple times. I'm not gonna pronounce the name because I don't want to butcher it. The person died. The murder follows many robberies and assaults of East Asians in the Bay Area, mostly by black male suspects. Right, and this is by a verified account. This person that put out that tweet. That tweet was saw by thousands of people before it was fact checked by Elon Musk taking over Twitter. Now, how many people saw the actual edit? It's interesting to me, right? How many people actually saw the edit and saying, "Hey, you might this tweet isn't actually true." There are thousands of people right now walking around thinking that black men hate Asians and are killing them in California. Social media is such a dangerous place, and I know we spoke about this before because social media has such a strong hold on society. Because the most toxic people are usually the loudest, and the more sane people usually take a step back and just kind of observe. But something like this is so dangerous in our society that it can be legit deadly for us as black men in America. It's like I don't, your experience is a little bit different. I'm not gonna take away from your experience because I don't know your experience over there in London. But as a black man in America, shit like this happens all the time, and it's just another reason to protect our own as much as we can. I went on a tangent just now, but I just posted in the top part because this man just wanted out of his marriage, right? He resulted to the worst of the worst to get out of his marriage. I don't understand it. I wasn't there, but the story goes that he later killed himself in jail when he got arrested for it. But that's the story.
Hello. Yeah. Man. You see, back in the UK, we don't necessarily have this like a target. Just like I think America is a battleground of everyone trying to be supreme and paint the Black American some in some sort of way. But I think they found a way to do it, man. The social media, man. People will eat it up before they even. Some people don't even want to find out the facts of it. Let's keep that real. Some people don't even want to do that. They just want to see things like this and just accept it and run with it. It's a sad situation, but I think like there's got to be a fight back. You know, there's got to be a fight back. People shouldn't be allowed to make such comments and get away with it. You know, there's got to be some sort of a fight back, some sort of a stand. Not a march or nothing, but that account needs to be reported or something like that. Like and you got to fight against that because if you don't fight against such propaganda, it's gonna spread like wildfire. I mean, and that's how you have countries that don't even have black folks in them. Some of them are the most racist countries you can ever go to. And how is that possible? That's through medium, social media as well. So it's a dangerous rhetoric, man. And they obviously they have their intentions of doing it. They probably already know the truth of the matter as well. Don't. I don't see these things as a mistake sometimes. I see as they probably have the information, but he wants to push a narrative. But I don't know what he hopes to gain from that narrative. At the end of the day, I don't understand what what they hope to gain from it. But it's just the reality of life, and I think it's time. the community just has to be like, look, the standards has to be raised, man. And we see what the others do. I don't, you can't say anything anti-Semitic. They'll shut you off. Do you know what I mean? They'll shut you off, man. They'll shut off your accounts, shut off your bank
Immediately.
accounts. They don't play, man. And you know what? We
Yeah.
can't even get mad about that. We can't get mad about it. You gotta respect the game. That's the
Yeah, because
standards
it's
they've
theirs.
held. Yeah. That you know what? Listen, you could talk about Caucasian people, and when I talk about Caucasian people, I'm not talking about Jewish people. That's two. You could say anything you want about Caucasian people, Anglo Saxons. You could call them more names all day long. Nothing's gonna really happen. And you could speak about any other people. Nothing's gonna happen except for the Jewish folks, and we can't be mad at them for holding having the standards of how they want to be treated. They've got the rights to do that. So it's just a game. Either you play the game or you lose it at the end of the day, and
See,
that's just the way about it.
we had
So
extensive conversations about that over the phone, bro. And I appreciate your viewpoint on it because you made me realize something that maybe I didn't think about enough. Even though I have, right? I need to consider it more. It's okay. And what I mean by that is, you know what? People are upset that Kanye West is basically getting like blackballed all over the place. Why? They built this shit, right? This society that we live in is mostly built on what their rules. Why get upset with it when we could go build our own shit? Why 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 put so much onus on what they're doing? Because essentially what we're doing is giving them more power. Which again, there's nothing wrong with that, right? This is their shit. This is they built this country the way it's built. They built a lot of different countries. They divided and conquered a lot of different countries, and they have a lot of power based on that. Why get so upset at what they've established when we can do the same shit? We can do the same shit within their countries too. In New York City, Jewish people have a pocket that they sit in, and even the police, they have their own police, and NYPD protects them. So they have double protection. They have their own ambulances, and if they need an outside source, they have it. They have their own hospitals, and if they need an outside hospital, they got it. We get upset at it, but if they can do it, why can't we? And I know people are upset with what happened with Kanye West. Although I think he's an idiot because
oh
specifically
man.
because a lot of people ignored everything that he was saying toward black people. Hey, don't get it twisted. Like if you look up Kanye West's history, Kanye West said a lot of dumb shit to his own community. He has been running his mouth for a very long time. Nobody said anything about the George Floyd issue when he said George Floyd didn't die because the cop had his knee on the back of that man's neck. Apparently, he died of something else. Nobody said shit about that, even though the family is suing him, right? For $250 million. They're suing him now, and he's probably gonna lose that. Just like that. I forgot the guy's name, but there's a guy that went on multiple rants about Sandy Hook. It was a school shooting in on the East Coast, and he went on multiple rants, and he has to pay upwards to $1 billion because of it. Nobody's saying anything about him, but they're coming down on Kanye West about his what his words have caused for the family. Now they want to be upset because he's talking about Jewish people, but he's talking about his own people in such a degrading way that the family of the victim is not suing him. So what about that? Like in my opinion, Kanye West is an idiot, but I would still say that he has a right to speak his mind. Just because you're an idiot don't mean that you should be just because you're an idiot doesn't mean that your freedom of speech should be stripped away from you. You should be absolutely careful when you have such a platform so big, because what happened when he said what he said about George Floyd was you had a bunch of people that was waiting for like a smoking gun, and it's like, if Kanye West said it, it must be true. So people started attacking George Floyd's family. They started sending threats to his wife. They started talking shit about his daughter. and because of that, the man is getting sued now. But his, I'm gonna protect his freedom of speech, but at the same time, the man's an idiot, and we all know it. We all see that Kanye West is you know, a little confused. He has a couple screws loose, but for whatever reason, he gets more validity because he once was a for such a long time, and but that goes back to people weighing too much about someone's celebrity. Just because somebody is very popular, that means that they must be right about something, right? But I mean, I don't get it.
You know, so I'm gonna say Kanye. With the only thing that kind of disappoints me with him is that he's not a foolish man. I don't think he's a
You don't
foolish
think
man.
so? All right, so
No, no, I
so
don't.
tell me.
The reason why I don't think he's a foolish man is only because I think he should know better. He's basically bringing words to a gunfight. I mean, it's foolish. I'm not talking about the points he's making, like his views and stuff like that. No, I'm not. No, I'm never talking about he's foolish because of that. No, I'm foolish because of the strategy that he's using. I think he's foolish for using thinking he can talk about these people and expect some sort of listen. You can't talk people into defeat. You can't march your way into people doing things for you. So when I listen to him talk and he makes all this nonsense stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, you're talking about people that have experience here. They've been doing this for centuries. For centuries. They've had practice. They've been conquering wars for centuries. Okay, maybe the years of conquerings are over, but their ancestors, their rich, the wealth was built on stuff like that. So when it comes on social media and he talks, and I'm thinking to myself, does it expect these people to change their ways and over because he said something? And that's why I think he's foolish. Like he's bringing words into a gunfight. Like what is it? I don't understand what he thought was gonna happen. Like I like to have a conversation with him to say to him. I mean, do you think they're just gonna say, "Oh, we're sorry because you said something"? And I think this is sometimes this is the issue I have. It's like, like like I feel like we talk too fucking much, bro. I don't want to speak about what's happening in America, but it's the same in the UK. We talk too fucking much. It's like we feel like our words are some sort of absolutes. It's like we can say something and change the narrative. They don't give a fuck, bro. I hate to break it, man. It's not gonna do anything. We have in the UK as well. We get artists that might. We don't really listen to artists in the UK. They don't really. They're not. They're not looked at as any sort of leadership role here. Thank God for that. But I do see a lot of artists. I might see some sort of certain politicians or maybe some sort of activists. They talk as if them talking is going to defeat people that have a whole fucking engine of system. It's not gonna happen. So when he was talking about the making all these anti-Semitic speeches and stuff, what do you think was going to, unless there's some sort of a game going on behind the scenes, and maybe this is all some sort of a game, but that's the thing about games. Sometimes if you play too much, you end up losing the game.
There you go.
So I'm
Play
thinking
with
it's
fire, you're gonna get burned.
you know what I mean. He's playing too much now. And when he talks about the black community and stuff like that, you know what, he can get away with it because no one's looking to shut him down. And why would they shut him down when our brother R. Kelly still had so many supporters of it across the world anyway? Do you know what I mean? So like,
Man,
how
you
could they
see,
shut him? How could they
you're
shut him
right.
down when they? You know what I mean? So it's this. Look, bro, Kanye might be foolish for saying certain things, and I don't think he's that dumb, bro. Unless maybe I'm giving him too much credit, maybe. But the way he converses his points, I don't think he's a fool, man. Unless he has a plan. We wait to see. We wait to see, right? But sometimes if why shut him down when there's certain things that we've allowed to go on? He hasn't even done close to anything bad that most of some of the celebrities we looked up to have done. Do you get my point, guys? Like he hasn't even done half of the things. He said some things, fair enough, but he hasn't done anything crazy like that is worthy of cancellation from our side. I can't speak for the Jewish community. They have the right to have the standards that they have. You know, I don't think we should be mad about that. They are allowed to shut anybody down at any time. That's what standards they have in their community. No one outside their community should complain about how they want to be viewed, the kind of respect values they want to have. Yeah, we can't complain about it. Anyone complain about it is not serious, you know. So, but we'll wait to see. But I think he just needs to be careful, man. You know, if he plays too much, he's gonna lose the game, man. I hate to see him broke on the streets, you know.
See, I don't think it'll ever get that far, right? Because he still has a lot of power. He still has a lot of capital. Even though quote unquote he's no longer a billionaire because maybe he lost some deals. The deal with Adidas maybe lost him some money, so maybe he's not a billionaire anymore. Who gives a fuck? But he still has a lot of capital, and he still has a ton of influence in the world as a whole. So I don't think Kanye West is going to be okay, right? In my opinion, he's a fool because he if there's a plan behind what he's doing, there is a very strategic way that he could have ended up with the same value. A lot of people think that he was trying to get out of all his deals because he signed bad deals. Well,
Bro,
first of
just
all,
before,
don't
sorry, bro. I hate to cut you. Please, I just want to say something. This is the stupid stuff that we do, man. Which is, I read those tweets about how people coming up with this how would I say this, make believe strategy.
this
We
master
are
plan.
Yeah, we are always. I'm sorry, I apologize about this because it happens in the UK as well. We enable foolishness too much. We do
Hmm.
it too much. We enable, because I'm seeing people saying, "Oh yeah, Kanye. How the fuck do you know he's got strategy? How the fuck do you know?" Let's sometimes we just gotta take it for what we see. Let's
but,
just
but
take
hold
it for
on.
what we see.
But hold on, bro. You just said the man is stupid, but you said we enable foolishness. Which one is it? Is he
No,
is
what,
he
oh no,
or is it
what?
or is it different for you? Can
Okay,
someone be foolish but not an idiot?
you know the
Do
thing
you
is, yeah,
separate?
like I mentioned, yeah, I only think it's foolish for thinking he can use words to change, to win a battle against people that have experience, that have
Gotcha.
conquered words, conquered countries. That they're not. You gotta respect your opponent for how formidable they are, bro.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you'll fool yourself. And I think that's why I think it's foolish thinking. I don't know what he thought he was going to do with his words, man. Like, what the fuck are your words going to do? That's why I think it's foolish. Yeah, that's why I think this is, you can't be serious, can you? Like, they're not gonna. These people they'll destroy you, man. They got an engine behind them. If
I
unless you have your
honestly,
own, then okay, fair enough. And I think he might, because I think sometimes people, the Jewish community is different from the Anglo-Saxons community, bro. Yes, they might look alike, but the Jews have their own thing going on. The
mm,
Anglo-Saxons have their own thing going on as well, bro.
right.
You know what I mean? The Jews might just be controlling the media, but the Saxons, they've got their own. You know what I mean? They've got their own thing going on as well. Unless Kanye is working with the Saxons, okay, he might have a chance.
There you go.
But if
There
he's
you
just
so.
if he's just doing it on his own,
But see,
he's gonna.
that's been Kanye's that in my opinion has been Kanye's angle for a very long time. He wants to get in good with the white folk. The white folk of America is where he has been looking for their approval for a very long time. All of a sudden I don't know how long people down below have been following him, but you could even tell with just the way he's been talking. He All of a sudden Kanye West just started talking like that. He dropped his Chicago accent and he started talking more proper more often when he had a camera in front of his face. And it started with winning awards like the Grammys when he didn't it was like he was searching for their approval. There's a clip somewhere I can't find. I'm not gonna look for it right now, but there's a clip somewhere of him saying, white men can't do this, white men can do that, and at the end of the clip, he ended up saying like, what he's searching for is to basically be accepted just like a white man is accepted in America, and he's been buddy buddy with people that lean toward the approval of white people. There's black politicians that lean toward the approval of white people, and he's buddy with those people. He had a White Lives Matter campaign that didn't really go that well a couple weeks ago. So his angle is to getting good with them, and maybe that was his strategy. Maybe him thinking like, hey, we can come together to defeat the Jewish powers that be, or whatever the case is. But fam, there's a way better way to approach that whole entire issue. If you want to get out your contracts, if that is the angle that people want to look at it, there's a way better way to have that conversation without the world going against you. Well, not the world, because some people are on his side still. But he could have done that situation. That whole thing could have played out a lot better if he was actually more strategic. In my opinion, he was upset that so many people were starting to go against him. I mean, I don't even want to continue to talk about this shit no more, but I'm gonna just say this. Like he had a falling out with a lot of his friends, right? With a lot of his celebrity friends, and he started talking about, I have all these secrets and don't tell me your secrets because I'm gonna start, telling the world, some shit like that. He's talked about Meek Mill during the interview. He talked about Diddy during the interview. In my opinion, is just a mad individual. And when I say mad, I mean angry, but mad as in like he has a couple screws loose. And he just kind of like, he basically had a sawed off shotgun in a room full of people and he was just letting that shit spray. And whoever got hit got hit. That's what I think happened that particular day with that particular interview that led us all to having this particular conversation today. But I don't know what you guys think. You guys can throw it in the comments too. Like, if you think Kanye West is bugging out, let me know. Because I think he was bugging out. If you think he had a strategy, like I know Andre said he had a strategy. Oh, by the way, I should say this more often. What we're doing with this space cast is kind of like a me and Fadaka thing. I know Andre, you had a request. Kino, bro, you had a request earlier today, but or earlier in the space. But we're kind of like we're we're building this platform as a one-on-one conversation between me and my brethren. There will be certain spaces where, Kino, I'm gonna have you on as a guest. He just dropped off, but Kino, I'm gonna have you on as a guest, and we're gonna like rock out the whole entire space cast. Andre, I'm gonna have you on as a guest. Ashley, I know you've been in our space before, and I would love to like have a three space cast with you one day too, because I appreciate your views. Legal, same thing. And if there's any other like guests in the DeFi space or just in the space in general, because it's not just a DeFi thing. Obviously, we haven't even talked about investments, but it's not always gonna be us, but the majority of these spaces that we hold is gonna be between me and my brethren Fadaka. So just as a disclaimer, Andre, we wasn't ignoring you, but that's kind of like that's the makeup of these space that we're gonna have every Sunday. So pardon me, don't take it personal. I saw the request, but I forgot to actually put that disclaimer out. Like, yo, this is just a me and Fadaka thing. So, um, but yeah, man, Kanye needs to go kick rocks, or 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 continue what he's doing. Yo, he has a school out in I forget what state that is, but he is building his own society, so to speak. He is building his own small small circle of community, and he should do that. He should be empowered to do that. But then again, don't he should not be looking for the approval of anybody or complain about what the media, the so-called media, does with his content. Yo, just do it on your own. West has the money to build his own platform. If he wanted to, he can go invest in Fanbase. Fanbase is a social media platform built by a young black man specifically for content creators. Not he didn't build that platform for black people, right? But it so happens that it's a young black man and he wants to reward content creators more. So like what we're doing right now, we would be getting paid on fan base if we did it over there. That's basically what the platform is. Kanye West can go invest in that company and maybe push more people toward that platform, and maybe he can uh he can have a voice there that maybe he'll feel he's more accepted. But instead, he's complaining about what people want or don't want from him over here. If they don't want you, fuck it, go somewhere else. That's my take on the whole situation. Is like what we had that conversation before. Stop complaining. Go build your own platform somewhere else. Is it easy? No, it is not. It is going to take decades for us to get to any point where Anglo-Saxons or any other community has built for themselves thus far. But so what? When are we going to actually start doing this shit? What's the point? Like you said, Fadaka, this shit is just talk. Let's go actually do something now. Like we're doing right now. This has been in talks for months. And I actually said fuck it one day. I made up a plan and I said, let's do the shit. I spoke to Fadaka. Fadaka was on board and we started the shit last week. Right? Actions. So instead of just talking like I was talking before, I said fuck it one day. I put time aside for every single Sunday and we're gonna do this every single Sunday. Now, we don't have the funds to actually go out and build our own platform to do this. So we're going to use the platform that is provided to us to actually do something for ourselves because we think the shit is fun, number one, and we think other people enjoy our conversations, number two. So we did it. Why can't other people do the same thing, especially if you have money behind you? But rant over. Next topic because Kanye
Hold up.
Kanye we could
Oh,
talk about that. Go ahead.
oh, I just want to say something. I think it's a quick lesson for all of us in here to kind of learn from Kanye, in not from what he's saying, but from the situation. I think sometimes we need to understand that our opponents that we might be against, we need to kind of respect them for their strength because it allows us to prepare better. You know what I mean? We shouldn't underestimate our opponents, man. You gotta understand something. The Jewish community, they play for keeps, bro. They're not here to play games with nobody. They play for keeps. You know, on
And there's nothing wrong with that.
there's nothing wrong. Yeah,
Like they
absolutely,
should, right? They should.
perfect. Because we had a conversation. I was when I was saying to Cool, like, look, they got to look after themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. They play for keeps and they're strong and they're formidable as they should be. So we need to, before you just come out and say certain things, you got to build your own platform. And I'll say one thing: Kanye, he needs the Saxons, bro. Bro, he needs them right now. If he if he wants, I hate to break it, he needs to make friends because they're the only one that can keep him balanced for now. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? They're the only one, man. Because without the Saxons right now, he's done for good. Do you know what I mean? So he needs to make buddies with the Saxons. So when the Jewish community lock because the Jewish community, they've got their fingers in almost everything,
That's a fact.
everything from the media to financial platforms, even the fan base guy. If he really wants to push his platform to the next level, he still needs to make agreements with certain other platforms that the Jewish community might own. You know what I mean? So he still needs to break bread at some point with some sort of other communities just to get his platform to where it should be. They've got everything on Smash, literally on Smash.
And you know
Yeah,
what's crazy? You see how
yeah,
you're saying that, right?
yeah.
You're saying that if people can hear what you're actually saying, it's respect. They have it on smash. They have it on lock, right? There's nothing anti-Semitic about respecting what they have built for themselves. There's nothing anti-Semitic with recognizing, yo, they got the shit on lock. They do have their foot in every single in anything that you can think of. There is some sort of Jewish power that has some sort of power or what's the word I'm looking for? Some sort of influence over the final decision about whatever it is. So what? Respect it, learn from it, and if anything, do it yourself because I don't, in my experience, they keep to themselves and they appreciate it when other people do the same thing and build their own. In living in New York City, the Jewish community over here, they don't bother nobody. They step outside the community. Like right now, I'm in my own community. Right, it's primarily Caribbean, Black American. There's some Italians here, and a little sprinkle of everything, but primarily like Caribbeans and American Black. I'm sitting right in front of a Jewish church. There's no Jewish community here necessarily, but there is one right in front of me. So what? They stepped outside the community. They probably saw a property. Real estate is important, and they have their own temple. I don't know what the right verbiage for it is,
I
but
think
they
it's
have their
synagogue.
own. They have their own right here, right in my community. I have never looked at this as a bad thing. I never said to myself, why the fuck they here? It's stupid, in my opinion. If they're not bothering nobody, why complain about it? I respect it. I look at it like we can go do this shit. Again, for me, to me, it's different. I look at it differently. It's motivation, fam. I respect what they do. There's nothing anti-Semitic with saying, "Yo, they own a lot of shit." So what? It's anti-Semitic when you then say they own a lot of shit, so they're evil. That's where it's like, wait, what? How did we get here? That's like it's a form of, in my opinion, it's a form of jealousy that is not understood within their own selves. You don't have to be jealous of the powers that be. Be motivated by it. Don't be jealous that somebody has more than you. Use that shit as a way to say, oh, if they can do it, I can do it too.
For real, man. Just like Cool mentioned in New York, we have a whole area here. I think it's there's two. I mentioned it to Cool the other day. Like I think it's Upper or Lower Clapton in London or Stamford Hill. We have like a two specific. There's more other areas, but for example, if I want to go back in time, if I want to go back to the 1920s, I'll go to the Jewish area. And the reason why I mention is that it's the way they dress, the family, one of the most peaceful areas you can go to. They don't bother nobody. They got their own thing going on. They literally have their own world in London. They have their own little country within inside London. Do you know what I mean? They've got their own ambulance service. They got their own police. They got their own thing going on. They don't bother nobody at all. And I saw a tweet the other day about someone saying how most of the music producing companies, a lot of them have Jewish owners, and the person said not one single black folk, and I thought to myself, so fucking what?
Right,
So what? Do you know what I'm saying? Like you can't have an issue. People shouldn't give things to you just because you bring that you have the creativity of it. Do you know what I'm saying? Just because you're the mind and the brain of it, like you also have to understand there's a level above just creating music and art, and that level is ownership. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like we can't complain about having a Jewish owners with this a lot of this media outlets that produces music. They saw an opportunity. They're businessmen. You get involved in your own things. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think like we also need to come out that idea of feeling like, maybe some sort of I wouldn't even want to call it entitlement. Look, no one owes anybody anything anymore. Like it's the time of that is gone now. We can't just say, okay, no one's gonna invite you to the table and go, yeah, come and eat with us. It doesn't really work like that. You have to show your qualities and find your own seat on the table, kind of thing.
right.
So like, just like who mentioned, I really respect these people, especially in London when you see them, because every one of us is dressed the same in London in terms of we got our hoodies, jackets, the typical urban clothing, right? They're the only ones, bro. They suited and booted, bro. They they got the nice hats.
The hat,
You
yeah.
got the nice hats. They got that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you can't.
Yeah,
What is that? That's I mean, like I can't speak for how it's going on in other countries in terms of what is going on in there in Israel and all that. I'm not there, you know. But I'll speak on the fact that I'm in London, and they're one of the most peaceful communities if you go into the community, it's peaceful there. They're not bothering nobody. They literally are in their own world, minding their own business. So on that note, who am I to hate on how they choose to do business? And this is the story for other communities. Most other communities, they keep the business within each other anyway. Like you can see, like I'm sure it's the same in New York or LA or wherever it is. Different communities, they build their own little corners and build their businesses there. But we're not really, we're not. Are we mad at them for like kind of like monopolizing certain areas and having all the business to themselves? It's something we got to do for ourselves as well. So yeah, so that's my take on it, man. But Kanye knows all this though. He knows. He's not. Come on, he knows. It's
I
just
think so. I
maybe he
think
fell out
so.
with somebody. He fell out with somebody, and now he wants to have some sort of issue. And if it is all just a game and he has a plan, well, let's see it. I don't even want
Right.
to give him. I don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt to say he has a plan because I don't know. How the fuck could I
And
know?
you
I
and
don't
you
know.
know what? You know what's crazy? Hey, because we don't fucking know. We talking all this shit. At the end of the day, we don't know nothing, right? We don't know what's in that man's head. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes. He could have this big master plan that all of us is gonna be shocked at, and or some people are gonna be like, "See, I told you so," right? Maybe he has a plan to actually build something for himself, and he needed to go this far in order to create like a different foundation. Sometimes you gotta demolish the building before you rebuild better, right? Before you build it back better. Maybe he's doing this on purpose so that he can he can I don't know. Maybe he has a plan, and maybe we've been surprised. I don't know. I personally don't think so because just based on his history, I feel like he kind of just jumps off the ship whenever he feels like it. But again, maybe he has had better experiences. Maybe he realized he's made a lot of bad deals, and maybe he has come up with some sort of plan to solidify his own foundation and his own legacy. But even like thinking about like the deal that he's made with his ex-wife, like he helped her build her platform Skims, and he only owns like maybe 5% of it. That's another bad deal. He even made a bad deal with his wife, and maybe he did it with good intentions because it's his wife, because maybe he wanted her to have the majority of the shares or whatever the case is, or the majority of the income that comes with it. But 5% off of a platform immediately like $1 billion business is a bad deal. But I hope all the best for Kanye West and anybody in a situation where they feel like they were getting robbed before and maybe they want to like clean house and like start over better. All the best to that man. Hopefully he can figure it out and make it work for him somehow.
You know what? Another thing I'll say is about because we get this quite a lot with the artists in London as well. They tend to sign bad music deals, and I've personally come to the conclusion. This is my conclusion. I feel like some of our folks are too eager to be famous than to actually earn from their creativity. You know, they're too eager to be famous, man. They're too eager to find a platform that'll put their face out there. And once it's one off, because sometimes the fame and the celebrityness it wears off. Then you start thinking about your financial situation. Can I pay my mortgage off? Can I help my family? Can I buy this? Can I buy that? I think a lot of our folks need to start thinking about the financial aspects of how their talent, what kind of amount of money their talent can bring into their lives, than how their talent can make them famous. Fame don't mean nothing no more. Everybody's famous in some way. There's a new artist every other day. Because I'm tired of hearing people blame companies or blame P Diddy. And yeah, I get it. P Diddy should help his folks sign a better deal. I get that part. I understand it. But sometimes we also, as or I'm just speaking in general. Like I'm not an artist, but I'm tired of hearing artists complain about them signing a bad deal and how these companies are robbing them. Bro, get a fucking lawyer before you sign the deal, bro. Get a lawyer or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's becoming the norm now. Almost every artist complaining about signing a bad deal. I mean, come on. So I think we need to forget the fame aspect of it, and focus on how your talent can bring you money, you know. And yeah, that's another thing I was just gonna put out there.
I think what the issue there is, the issue there that's there's a lot to unpack right there. But the main thing is a lot of kids are usually the ones that's pushing for fame through their artistry and not necessarily focusing on their craft. But a lot of those kids are coming from bad situations where all they see is when they see people on TV, they see riches. And they try to emulate this blueprint that's really not the best blueprint at all because it's coming from other artists that sound bad deals. But they're trying to emulate this blueprint because they think what comes with fame is usually money. But it's not necessarily the case at all. They're not educated enough. But they're coming from They're coming from shitty backgrounds. They're coming from shitty areas. They're coming from broken parent homes, or maybe not even broken parent homes, but they're coming from there's obviously a lack of education when it comes to the music business for new artists. In Jamaica, there's a lot of independent artists, and a lot of artists go get it on their own. But in America, there's a lot of artists that feel as though if they don't have a deal, they haven't made it. There's an artist named La Russell, right? Which he's one of my favorite new artists. Dude is very talented. When you talk about go make it on your own and building your own platform, he before he even put out his first official album, or let me not say first official album, before he put out his first major album, because he has a few albums already. He had his own company. It's actually called Good Company, and company is spelled Compenny, like company, like pennies, and it's basically built on the foundation that not everybody can afford something. So I'm gonna give you a product, and you can pay what you think is the best price for it. You can even pay a penny, essentially. And that young man has done very well for himself to the point where he employed everybody in his family, damn near everybody in his family. I don't know the exact numbers, but he has his mom working for him. He has his dad working for him. He has his friends from the block working for him. He has his a few ladies working for him. He has put new artists on. This is a young man that all you have to do is just look up and study the game a little bit to know that maybe signing a deal right out the bat isn't the best case scenario. And he went out and built his own platform, and that man is respected by some of the highest of MCs in America when it comes to his craft. He is a very good rap artist. He's a very good hip hop artist that makes very thoughtful music, thought provoking music. He's vulnerable when he comes to the microphone, or he can talk his shit if he wants to. If he want to talk about money, he can talk his shit too. But at the end of the day, he realized that just signing a deal just for the fame isn't a good move. And he went out and did the shit his own. Like I respect him so much for that. Just based on that alone. Even if he was a trash artist, right? We have an artist named E40. I don't know if you ever heard of him, Fadaka, but
Oh
he's been
yeah,
a
from Oakland. I like
yes.
him.
So
He's
there
cool.
you go, right? E40 has been an independent artist for decades, fam. And he has a liquor company. He sells food. He has like burritos that he sells in like Target and shit like that. And there's something else that I'm missing that he actually owns too. But he from an independent artist, he has his own lane. He has his own audience that he caters to. He is famous, right? Because even you know who he is. But he's not Jay-Z, right? He's not a top tier. He's not Drake, but he's famous enough and he's well off enough that he has built his own platform, and he will forever be good for it. His kids are going to be good for the platform that he built. So for these young kids to chase this dream that they don't necessarily have to chase has a lot to do with just the lack of education. The crazy thing is, yo, I'm talking to you from a computer. I have a smartphone. All you have to do is Google search something. Yo, can I make it as an independent artist? See a bunch of YouTube videos pop up. All you have to do is just ask Google a question and you can get the information that you need. But unfortunately, in our society, with our short um attention spans, a lot of people don't really sit back and really educate themselves on anything anymore, let alone what can make them like what can be better for their finances. If if we can have a better foundation when it comes to schooling, it's a deep ass conversation, man. But I actually
So
think it
yeah,
starts in the household and it starts at school. School doesn't teach us about finances, and our parents are so busy with their own lives that a lot of times it's just like you go to school, you come home, do your homework, and that's about it. They don't really get taught about what ownership is. They don't get taught about what entrepreneurship is. They don't even know. A lot of people don't even know how to make their own LLC. Just certain things are not taught in the household and definitely not taught in school. So when these young kids that don't have shit come up, coming from Chicago, come from New York, where they come from bad neighborhoods, and they see people on TV with a lot of money and these cars, it's like, oh, I have to be that. if I want to make it in this world, I have to be that. I'm sorry, I'm kind of ranting a little bit, but I got to check myself sometimes. But
No, no, no,
like
no. You're making
that's
good
my
points.
viewpoint on it.
Yeah. I was just gonna say something quickly. Because I've gone through the comments here. I wish today is one of the days we can bring uh, one of the guests up there to have a three-way conversation. But Andre made a point there that I want to just quickly just say in terms of how like being given the opportunity to kind of flourish. One thing I've realized is that look, when you've locked the game up, right, you play for keeps. It's just how it goes. Like you don't even want to avoid give the opportunity to an outsider to even basically you monopolize the whole area because you've locked the game up. I think that's just life. That's how it goes. And it goes back to the streets as well. Like I'm sure Cool will agree. Let's say you go like the big boy dealers will only respect the big boy dealers. And only the big boy dealers can operate in certain streets. If you're not on their level, you can't even operate. They'll literally monopolize the area. You know? So that's just the way I see when in terms of all these big corporations. They are not gonna allow you any opportunity if they don't feel like you're on their level. There was a time where China couldn't even function. The Chinese couldn't even function, but the Chinese they're on the bad boy level now. They'll do what the fuck they want, and the other big boys will allow them to because they know they've got an opponent that is just as formidable as them. So it's just business, like like people just monopolize the area, and they wouldn't if they don't feel like you're on their level, you will never get a leeway into whatever it is they're doing. It's life as well. It's in the streets as well, and we all know this. Like what I mean, like there's certain things you can't do if the other people on a certain level don't respect you. You can't even function in those streets like that. So I think that's just how life goes. And I think the Chinese are an example to that. They've risen up to a point where like they can really they dictate to Hollywood the kind of movies they would accept in their country. They couldn't do that 20 years ago. But like they've built up their company and the economic to a level where like they can actually say, you don't change this, we will never buy it. And I think they had a situation with a fashion designer as well. Was it Gucci or Louis or something like that? How they said we're not going to buy your bags again in China, and I think they had to change their approach. So that's just the way I see. What do you think, Cool? I feel like when you get to a certain level, you can monopolize, and if you're not if they don't feel like you're on their level, they're not really going to let you in.
And again, there's nothing wrong with that. Like you said, like you use the street game. Like, if bro, if there's a certain set holding it down on a block, they're not gonna let people in. You're gonna take from them. You're gonna nobody's gonna allow somebody to eat from their plate unless you come in the game and with some strength behind you. Sometimes you don't even want to go to war with them. You respect them from a distance, but you stay in your lane over there, we stay in our lane over here, and we can respect each other from afar, and we don't necessarily have to take from each other. Or you bring something to the table. You might do something better than me. You might communicate better than me. All right, I'll allow you a seat at my table, but here's a small plate. I dictate how much you eat though. If I want you to eat a lot, I'll let you eat a lot. If I want you to eat a little bit where you can survive, but I want to keep you in check, I want to keep you in place, that's up to me because I run this shit. I run this block, right? If we want to keep it at that level. And what's the difference between a street level situation or an entire monopoly of media? If they built that, then we just have to sit back and respect it. And if you have a problem with it, go build your own platform. To me, it's the same thing. Like, it's not easy. I understand. Like, trust me. I'm a young black man born in Brooklyn with Jamaican parents. I understand that it is not easy for anybody to just up and create their own shit. But complaining about it is really gonna do what for us? If I really was gonna sit with this plan in my head of like just being on the space more often with Fadaka, what would have happened? Nothing. We would just sit back and just talk about it all day. It's not gonna do anything. But we have a platform, and I have a decent amount of following, and a lot of people have told me like I should do the space more often, and I'm sure Fadaka has absolutely heard the same thing. Why not just do the shit I own? I didn't like certain space. Yo, we started this months ago because I didn't like the way women were treated in spaces. I didn't like the way certain men were treated in spaces because they weren't allowed the time to talk because people had agendas, right? We want to bring it to like control. Saitama has a huge following, but they also have people within that community that run these spaces, and if they don't want you to talk, you are not going to talk. So the fuck what? You want to sit back and complain about it or go build your own platform? It's the same shit. I decided that one day, you know what? They're not gonna let people talk, or they're gonna talk shit about women when they have questions. You know what? Let me go open up a space and let's have a conversation about what we don't like. Let's have a constructive conversation without arguing, without being disrespectful, and let's do something a little bit different and do something better, in my opinion, that's more open and honest. And we did it. It didn't work out the best way, whatever the case is, but me and Fadaka are here now because we felt like we still had a voice in a lot of different ways, and we don't have to always talk about cryptocurrency. So now we're here. We're building our own platform. We're not going to sit back and complain that we don't have a voice somewhere else when we have the power in our hands to do the same shit. So what's the difference between anybody else in 2022? I'm gonna say it again. It is absolutely harder for certain people to build their own whatever they decide to build. It's absolutely harder for some people in this world, and it's easier for other people in this world. But so what? You're gonna let that shit stop you? Fuck that. Fuck no. In my opinion, fuck no. Fuck. You could say fuck the powers that be. I'm gonna just do my own shit. That's again, that's just how that's my viewpoint on it. And for me, I feel like if everybody else runs with that mindset, it will only empower you, and it'll only make you better if you not necessarily fight back but push against the grain. Like we're swimming upstream. Okay, so what? If you make it up there, you're gonna be stronger than the other people that's down at the bottom. And not everybody can go. Right? We had that conversation too, Fadaka. Like, not everybody's gonna come with us, and that's fine. Like, survival of the fittest at the end of the day. It's not fair, but this is the life that we have. Why sit back and complain about it when you can actually do something about it? But yeah, man.
Yeah, for real, man. What was you gonna say?
No, I was gonna wrap it up because it's about that time. But if I don't know if you
Yeah.
wanted to say something else.
No, no, I just wanted to kind of like that's one thing I've learned, and me and Cool, we've had a back and forth about this. Like, we've disagreed on it. I've given my point about it. He's seen my viewpoint. I've seen his viewpoint, because bro, they play for keeps, bro. I hate to say it. Power is not given. Powerful people are not gonna be like, yeah, here, take some of it. They're not gonna do that. They're not. They play for keeps. And it's just the game of life. It's not about being fair or not. It's just business. And you got to respect them for it. That's just my viewpoint. And, when I shared my viewpoint to him, he shared his, and we kind of found a nice balance to be like, yeah, this is the game. And if you don't find a way to kind of like, get your shit going, you'll forever be a peasant to them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not ready to be a peasant to nobody. We have to find a way to build something, our own platform. And hopefully encourage our folks to build their own platform, and together we can actually have a way to demand something, because power only respects power, bro. And powerful people play for keeps, man. That's all I gotta say.
Absolutely true. And by the way, I in the beginning, I was more on the side of the unfairness. Like, it's unfair. Like, things shouldn't be the way it is. And the more I talked to Fadaka, I was like, yo, you know what? Who the fuck cares? Like, I respected them to begin with, but I always felt like, yo, it's kind of unfair. But why I dwelled too much on the unfairness of it, although I did respect them. Now I don't care anymore. I don't care about the unfairness. I just accept the unfairness. It is what it is. It's not gonna serve me or my young boys any. It's not gonna do anything for them if I walk around saying things are unfair. It's only gonna weaken my boys. It's only gonna slow me down for what I want from myself. So I stopped caring about it, and and that's why I appreciate just talking to Fadaka. Like off the internet, me and Fadaka have a lot of conversations, and I appreciate him because his viewpoint is always valid in my opinion. Whether I disagree with him or agree with him on whatever the topic is, his viewpoint is always a valid viewpoint. But yeah, with that being said, I appreciate everybody that came out today. We're gonna be doing these spaces every single Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna try to run it for maybe about an hour 45 minutes. Um, we're not gonna try to go over 1 o'clock because it's always like football Sundays or whatever the case is. But hopefully we can get more momentum so that we can open up the space to more people to have special guests. Like Andre, I see you have a very strong opinion about this particular topic, and I respect it wholeheartedly. I'm gonna answer some of your responses too. We'll get to that at some point. In the meantime, I appreciate everybody for coming out. Fadak, I appreciate you, fam.
Thank
And
you.
we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for coming on. See you guys next week. Take care.